Black skin, white mask. Already know that life gets hard. And they say that we're used to the harshness. If it wasn't for the pain, I'd laugh. Truth is, we knew about light before dark. Turned music to art and taught everyone to dance. And still no chance. Freedom must be too much to ask. Bleeding from the ache in my heart. Sometimes I wish it was whites in the middle like France. Nah, I'm not racist, just jarred. Got hate before bush, not plants. They say we should leave it all in the past, but my brother's still dying on the end, so I can't. So if my attitude stinks, don't ask, cause a hashtag won't help you understand my stance. Fuck a melody, this is real rap if you ever see. Head hot, cause the system won't let me be. Tell me how I thrive in a place that don't cherish me. And they wonder why we all need therapy. Pre the energy, yeah, just another nigga to Penelope. And they don't get it how we bottom of the barrel and still drip sauce on the world, no recipe. Weight of the world on my shoulders, all the pressures in life still tightly holding. We pour libation for all of the fallen soldiers, but the pain still goes unspoken. They want us to stay broken, never gonna fall, fuck folding. I see my people lost hope, shit, don't you know we all been chosen.
We are oppressed, we are exploited, we are downtrodden, we are denied not only civil rights but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
Forgive me if you don't understand. Sorry, I'm just misunderstood. Punished if I try to take a stand. Meanwhile, my friends dying in the hood. And you can say that we're killing ourselves, but truth is they're killing us still. How you saying Black Lives Matter, but never took a moment to help? Just a trend that you post for yourself. And yeah, it takes a toll on my health, cause I want wealth like everyone else. But it's 10 times harder for me. And they wonder why my brothers put food on a scale. Yeah, when I die I'll see heaven, that's real. Cause we already living in hell. Wish I could share all the pain I felt. Oh well, I guess I won't speak till my scars do heal. I just wanna be black with a mill. Yeah, that's for every time I had no meals. Cause my mother couldn't keep up the bills. With a handful of kids, no home, just a cell. And I don't care if conscious don't sell. Knowledge brings height to an elf. Went from sitting on thrones to a cell. Been blessed, man, it wasn't by chance we fell. Weight of the world on my shoulders, all the pressures in life still tightly holding. We pour libation for all of the fallen soldiers, but the pain still goes unspoken. They want us to stay broken, never gonna fall, fuck folding. I see my people lost hope, shit, don't you know we all been chosen.
Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you?
Yeah, this is real life. Kaa kimya skia. Real talk. We're coming from the ghetto. Kinondoni, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania mpaka UK. The world finest. Yeah. Pambana kijana. Life is too hard, life is too short. Shao kwa nango cha ghetto. Usikate tamaa. Jua kwamba ipo siku tutatoboa. Tutatoka. Gang for life.
I am the true name.
Blessed love. His time is up, family. Blessed love to you all. Yes, indeed. Isn't the vibration just so much cleaner and upful and high vibrational at this time of year in the UK? Do you not think? I'm just forever grateful, gladful. And is that a word? Gladful, it is now. I'm just forever up. I was thinking about it today. Like I was thinking, I'm nice. I'm forever up when it's summertime, you know. It's my season anyway. I'm a July girl, and it's always lovely when the sun is shining. Some people don't like me talking about the weather, apparently. They don't. But blessed love, his time is up, family. I don't know if any mods are in tonight as yet. I hope you've all had a really, really great weekend. We've got no background again tonight because it's the only way to stop it glitching, which is interesting because it worked perfectly well in the past. And the only reason, I was thinking about it, the only reason that we had a background in the first place was because I wanted to hide the fact that I was back in the UK in 2021 for the His Time Is Up March, because remember, that was secret. So that's the only reason we had a background, and we kept the background because people liked it. But actually, we started off definitely on Instagram lives in Africa, there was no background. And then when we jumped to YouTube lives, there was no background initially, if you remember. I was against a kind of white wall, which was quite boring. So we came up with the background, and that's what was happening. So that's what's been going on. And I quite like this. It's way more natural for me. I prefer it. I can, you know, go in a part of the house that, you know, is obscure, if you like. And that happens to be my bedroom, which is also where my workstation is. So that's handy. And here I am as my authentic self, no background. No, I know it's August. I'm saying I'm a July girl, B. Francis. I am born in July, so I love the summer, whether it's August, June, July. I love the summer. I really, really do. And that's what I was saying. But listen, guys, we were supposed to be talking about Michael Ward tonight, and we're not able to do that because the young lady that was going to come on and give her testimony has had a last-minute shout, and she's not able to do that tonight. She is able to come back next week, but I've had to say to her, I'm probably going to have to move you until the 22nd because there's a really, really, really important story that I'm hoping to cover next week. If I don't, then I'll switch them around and you'll hear the Michael Ward story next week and you'll hear the really important one the week after. But I'm itching to do the one that I want to do next week, which was already earmarked for that space anyway. So that's what's going on with the Michael Ward thing. Hopefully you saw the bulletins on, hopefully, Facebook. But I put it on Instagram. It should go automatically to Facebook. And it would have been telling people about that because I anticipated that there'd be a lot of people interested in that story. So that's not what's going to happen tonight. And what I didn't want to do is cancel, which is what I normally do when lastminute.com, a survivor says, I can't do it. Sometimes they pull out altogether. It's the way it goes. With their permission, I may tell the story myself in that situation. But when it's lastminute.com, like it is, I have to then improvise if I'm going to come on. And I thought, you know what? I always rob the people when this happens and say, well, look, it's cancelled. Sometimes there are other reasons. You know, I've got engagements, I have a life. But when it happens, sometimes I'll go on, sometimes I won't. And tonight I decided I'm going to. So what I want to do tonight, guys, I want to kind of take us through a little bit of a journey, a bit of a recap of what we already know. It's just reinforcing what we already know. And it's literally going to be exploring paedophilia and just how prominent it is. My God. We're going to take a little bit of a look as well at, put up a one if you guys have been following the Candice Owens Brigitte Macron story. For those of you that might not know, Brigitte Macron is the First Lady of France. She is the wife of the President of France. And according to a French journalist, several French journalists actually, she was born a man. Wicked. Hurricane Toy has been watching it. Blessed sis. But wicked. Love people have been watching it. My goodness. How compelling is that series? Is that story? How compelling is that? But what it illustrates is what many of us already know, and that is that we are being run by a satanic group of pedophiles. Yeah, that's what's happening. The world is being run by a satanic group of pedophiles. And as usual with Black people, I have stories about this. Thank you, Badgie Boo. Yes, indeed. But Fishy people. They're not easy. They're not easy. We know that this is going on. So it's nice to have some mainstream validation, although it isn't really mainstream validation. It's social media. It's the new wave of media that they're not able to really control. And, you know, they're jumping around. They're trying to sue the girl. A lot of what she's going through right now reminds me of what I go through. Oh, we'll sue you for defamation because we want to hide the truth, because we want to appear to be legitimate. That's what we'll do. We'll sue you for defamation. Even if we don't win, we'll drag you through the courts. We'll try to bankrupt you. We'll do all of these things. And I see how she's moving, you know, and I can see that Sis is a girl after my own heart. She's not afraid. That's what I like about her. She ain't afraid. She's telling them, bring it on. Bring it come. Now, unlike her, I don't have her money. So I can't afford legal representation and whatnot. I can't be asked with all of it. But I wish I could, because then I would be very happy to take them through it. But it hasn't mattered anyway, because it's all fallen by the wayside. None of them has ever won that. Do you understand what I'm saying? And on it goes. But I feel the sister, what she's going through. And I just want to explore a little bit of that tonight in terms of, you know, what we share. And the fact that we all, only thing is she's anti-black man. I don't know if she's anti-black man. She's definitely got a white man in her bed. She's married to one. I don't know if she's anti-black as such. I don't really perceive her that way. Yes, she don't like, well, she hasn't married a brother. I don't know her past, if she dated them in college or whatever it was. But yeah, I'm not interested in that side of her, to be fair. I'm not holding her up as no black emblem of anything. But the sister's got a deep reasoning when it comes onto matters of world affairs and what they call conspiracy theories. And something that I've been exploring for the better part of, what am I now? Jesus, it's coming up nearly 40 years since I got into the knowledge. Very young, I got into the knowledge when a lot of my peers were killing themselves to bruck out in the yardie dances and do whatever they were doing. I wasn't doing that. I was in activism from young, 18. I didn't go to parties, of course I did, but I always had a different head on me because of this, you know, than many of my peers who caught up a little bit later on. So I love to see a sister burning the fire for that. Yeah, I feel like her people have rejected her in America because of what she was saying about George Floyd, but she wasn't wrong. What she was saying about George Floyd was really what she was saying. It wasn't about George Floyd as such. It was about the op, which I was saying even at the time. Black Lives Matter. We all knew that was a dodgy organization, but we were standing for the principle of the thing, you know? But I will back the sister. I back her. I love her. I love her. And I love anybody who is able to articulate themselves to the highest degree. She's fantastic. I love that. I love Vanessa Feltz. I love anybody that can articulate themselves in that way. So anyhow, we're going to have a little look at what she's been dealing with. Just little clips, because I'm not sure about copyright with them higher beings on the internet. But yeah, we'll have a little clip at that, and we're going to have a little look through. There's something that I came across. It just popped up in my feed. And I was appalled. And what I want you guys to do, yeah, when I show you these clips, is go over to that internet page and storm that brother. I think the guy could be Chinese. I don't understand why that is being allowed on the mainstream social media on Instagram. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I really could. I could not believe what I was seeing. It seems like it's Thailand or Vietnam, Cambodia, one of those pedophile hotspots. That's what it seems like the footage is from. And it's a whole page on Instagram that's running quite nicely, got loads of thousands of followers. And some of the comments, I forgot to upload some of the comments that I screenshotted. I could not believe what I was seeing. So the page is all about young, very young little boys that they dress up and make into fashion icons. Like these kids can do catwalk. Listen, Naomi Campbell and the rest of them yam your heart out with these little Thai boys. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And this is what it is. This is the rise of the satanic agenda. This is the rise of all over the world. Because what I don't want us to do, and why I want to have this conversation tonight, I don't want us to exclude ourselves from it, like we have done traditionally with paedophilia. I think we've all caught up now that Black people are just as involved in this madness. Do you understand me? in this madness. We are just as involved, deeply entrenched. And let us not forget, yeah, Afghanistan hurricane. I know about them. They have a whole culture with young dancing boys. But let us not forget that all of this started in ancient Babylon and ancient Egypt and some of these places. Do you understand? It started in our lands. It started with us. We fell from grace with this thing. And obviously it was run out and had to hide. Hence, it still kind of hides itself in Africa today as witchcraft, as juju. It's all kind of what they call, some in Sierra Leone, they call it secret society because it is kind of secret. But it was something that was practiced openly in the unholy cities of Sodom and Gomorrah and Babylon. And Babylon, incidentally, is the same culture, regime, ideology, belief that the Western world dug up in the sands of the Sahara after it washed over with the flood, yeah, when Jah destroyed it, and dug it down in it and resurrected this madness. And this is what they're living out today. That's what's going on. That's why you see all the symbolism from that ancient world. These people are crazy. So that's what's happening. What was once called conspiracy theories by the mainstream on people like myself, and it was a lot wilder back in the day, the things that were coming out. It was wilder for us because it was unheard of in those days. There's so much information now. You know, gone are the days when we had to sort of pass cassette tapes and roughly kind of photocopied pages of books and hand them between each other. And then VHS video came out and it all got wow. And then finally things started to get uploaded onto YouTube. And, you know, these things were rare. You had to go to meetings and sit in circles to get this knowledge, you know? And most people thought you were mad. So a lot of my peers thought I was. Oh, she's on that black thing. Oh, man, like you're going to go mad, like some of the Christians did, you know? And some people did go mad, actually. But I put it to them that, you know, the wealth of truth is what shook them from their slumber, you know, and they couldn't handle it. And that is any knowledge that is heavy, any truth that is heavy for you. But let's get into it a little bit tonight. I'm going to show you these videos. It is abhorrent to the highest degree. You couldn't believe it. Have a look at this, guys. It's bloody unreal. It's disturbed me. It's bloody disturbed me. You know, one of them things you watch and you fit and it just sticks in your head. Jano. Yeah, have a look at this and tell me if this is right.
Sa Philippines Airlines ba yun? Nalaman sa Santiago mo? Shana? At tatakron mga anak.
Philippines Airlines.
Sa Philippines Airlines ba yun? Nalaman sa Santiago mo? Shana?
Guys, where on earth were they taking those little boys? I can get in that tuk-tuk or bajaji, as we say in Tanzania. Where the hell were they taking those little boys? I am so angry. Did you guys get the handle, the profile name of that Instagram page? Did you guys get it? I'm going to run one of them once more, just so everybody can get it. Make sure that you guys get that Instagram page and report it. Report. And just flush it out. It's absolutely disgusting. I cannot even believe the level that I'm seeing. Those poor little boys, and you can see their village picnic. You know, they're poor. They've probably got no parents, some of them. And they have literally taken those children and effeminized them. In fact, let me find this page on Instagram. Let me get it up. Honestly. Let me find out the name of this page on Instagram and try to find this guy, because it's nasty. There's one where it's actually a public event on that page. There's one where it's a public event. Couldn't believe it. And it's somewhere in the Oriental world. I'm not saying it's Thailand. It seems like it is. It sounds Thai, but I'm not an expert on those things. I'm not. So honestly, so I've seen that, and it's, you know, I've become aware for a long time, because our good James, our security at His Time Is Up, he does a lot more than security. You know, this man is dedicated to the cause. He's absolutely dedicated to the cause. And see if I can get this Instagram page up. He's often sharing with me his findings around child sacrifice, satanic ritual abuse, and so on. And we share an interest in that subject. There's not enough research on that. There's definitely not enough recognition, especially in this country, of that. But children are being used more and more and more in these disgusting ways. But imagine that was your boy child. The way they've taken those boys and effeminized them. They were actually really rather good at the catwalk. That was what's so disturbing. They're bloody good at it. And, you know, they're giving it all the kind of, the little sass to go with it, the personality. Weren't just kids. They're living that. Yo. The way it made me feel, you know, I'm fixing to go Thailand. It's not even funny. It's not even funny, but it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. We're going to look a little bit at Uganda tonight. I love Uganda. It's you know, it's borders with Tanzania. It's a beautiful country. But they're going on with things over there in the rural parts that is not acceptable. It's not. And those are the sorts of things that we want to branch out to try to deal with. Do you understand? That's why we're doing His Time Is Up Africa. His Time Is Up Jamaica. His Time Is Up Africa is overdue, you know? So that's where we're going with this, guys. That is where we're going. And I'm going to be making big announcements around that in the coming months, you know? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. You nearly got arrested. Do you know what? I've always stayed away. Hurricane Toya says that she nearly got arrested when she went to Thailand. I would get arrested, and that's why I stay away from that. When I was living in Tanzania, part of Tanzania is an island off the coast of Dar es Salaam. It's about 40 minutes on the ferry, and you could get there really easily. Baby Afua even went there on a school trip, you know, for a week with her school. It's that close. It's a bit like when we go on a day trip to France, but it's still part of Tanzania, and it's very much more tropical than Dar es Salaam. It's, you know, it's lusher. It's more like backyard. It's more like the Caribbean. It's beautiful place. Seen lots of pictures of it. Even Blue, my daughter, went on a couple trips there and whatever, and a lot of people I knew was going over there because you can, and it's beautiful. But you know the reason I did not go to Zanzibar? One African American sister that I knew went before me and came back with a story of how disgusted she felt, because she was in a club, and everywhere she goes, in clubs and whatever in Zanzibar, there are Maasai boys, you know, in the clubs dancing up with oversized aging European women. Sex trafficking trade for the boys. I was like, oh my, like Gambia, another place I haven't been, because I know I will get into trouble. And the thing is that the locals won't appreciate you for whatever you're going to stand up for, because that's their bread and butter. They will defend that. Huh? And I said, no, not the Maasai. The Maasai are sacred in Tanzania. The Maasai are like what's the word? You know, like they're protected. Like you'd have a grade 2 listed building or a protected species. They are protected. You can't touch the Maasai in Tanzania. They're seen as, you know, untouchable. They're highly regarded. They are the original people of Tanzania, and they are also the biggest warriors. You know, they walk with a certain amount of tools on them. There's a certain amount of things that they carry, and they all carry the same thing. They carry a stick, and they've got a machete on their waist, you know, and then they also carry this slingshot thing in their waist as well. And apparently, I'm told when I was in Tanzania, the slingshot can take out the back of a lion's head at 500 meters. Yeah, they're like expert marksmen. They're warriors, and they can take you out with whether you got gun, it doesn't matter. Wherever you go in Tanzania, and I don't know about Kenya, but in Tanzania definitely, you will see, like in the banks, at the shopping malls, at the supermarket, all those kinds of places, the security guard is always a Maasai. And none of them have names. Everyone just calls them Maasai, like the non-Maasai people. Maasai, you know, and they're just there in their ancient regalia. It was quite a sight when I first landed, because I remember we drove out of the airport and I was with my 2 girls and we're driving. We literally just drove out of Joseph Nyerere Airport and was driving on a straight, like coming out into the city. And I see this Maasai guy just rolling. And I said to the driver, oh my God, is that actually a Maasai? Or is it just a guy dressed like that? The guy started laughing. He said, yo, you will see plenty of them, but you will only see the men. We didn't see Maasai women in any number until we went 11 hours from Dar es Salaam by road to Mount Kilimanjaro, to that region. And that's when we started seeing the women in the fields. You know, we were going through and passing through Maasai territory and Maasai villages. Yeah, man. The Maasai are sacred in East Africa. You know, I know they're a little bit more commercialized in Kenya. I've been told this, but you see the Maasai, because the original Maasai are Tanzanian, all of it. The Swahili language, all of that is original Tanzanian. The people went across as they did to other parts and carried it with them, migrated, but it started in Tanzania and everybody recognizes that. So even their form of Swahili is purer than Kenyan Swahili, and their Maasai are purer than Kenyan Maasai. A lot more commercialized. But imagine the sacred Maasai and the people that ain't got no respect for that even. They're there peddling their nonsense. And, you know, a lot of the guys, I'm told also, they're just Tanzanian guys that dress up as Maasai and go to Zanzibar. But the point of the matter is that you're there desecrating the Maasai, man. I'd have to have a fight if I went there. I couldn't go there. Same thing with Gambia. I've been in things in Jamaica, in the grill, with people. You understand me? Enough people, like even my family, they all say to me, oh, these people online, they think that you just started this thing with His Time Is Up. You've always been about this. One of my cousins particularly always says it. You've always been about this, cuz. That word nonce has always come out of your mouth. You've always been on a crusade with these people. You know, because these things don't happen overnight. You don't just wake up one day and decide that you're on a crusade against these people. It's always been there. And partly because I grew up in the old East End. And that was never tolerated. Didn't care who you are. That is one thing. Those people would come together and take down the flipping bacon. That's what they would do. And we don't have that in our community. We don't have that. We go on like we have that. In Jamaica, to an extent, you kind of do. Yes, you have the intergenerational stuff and you have the familial abuse that they try and want to hide. But let the wider community find out certain things, really and truly. It's jungle justice all the way. All the way. This is why it made me laugh when these trolls were going on like they were writing to the Jamaican government because of my video from Nannyville and going on like I live in Nannyville. Why would I take my child to live in a place like Nannyville? Ever. Do you understand? So these fools are making social services referrals. I forgot to do the snapshot actually, guys. Let me read you, actually. Let me read to you. I just remembered, as it was said. As it was said, I just remembered. So yeah, official letter. Let me read to you what they said about this referral. Oh yeah, forgot. I nearly forgot it as I mentioned it. about the referral. You guys remember last week, the referral that some anonymous person made to social services to say that I am harassing my baby father online, like they care about that. And also that's historic. That doesn't happen continuously as the person suggested. And also I'm moving with baby Afua to a dangerous part of Jamaica. Ooh, you know what I mean? Even if I was, why do you think that constitutes a safeguarding concern? And why do you not know that child services, social services, children's services only are interested in children that are at risk and if there's a safeguarding concern? So we should have known it was June for a morning anyway, because the person is clearly dunce that would think that social services would care about something like that, you know? Unbelievable stuff. But they've said, "Dear Miss Rose, our team in the central point of all referrals from professionals about children who reside in Bleep, for whom there has been an identified concern about their welfare or well-being, our role is to ensure that children and young people who are the most at risk get the help they need at the earliest opportunity. We received a referral. Our team has reviewed this matter and has determined that this does not meet our threshold for statutory intervention from children's services. However, I wanted to write to let you know that there are support services, blah, 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 and they've given me early help, parenting programs, as you do." So that's where your referral went. It doesn't meet the threshold. Of course it doesn't meet the threshold. And that's what I told the lady when she called me. It's like, what is your concern exactly? Well, you know, we've received a referral. I said, I know. Do your due process, because it will come to nothing. Contact my daughter's school. You will see that it's exemplary. 100% attendance. Straight A all the way in everything. Yeah. Bussing it up. Just left year 9 with 7 gold medals. Hey, in how much things? From sport to academics, 7 gold medals. Don't ramp. Don't ramp with my baby. How dare you? Yeah, exemplary. Been to school on 3 continents, speaks 3 languages. Don't ramp. Honestly. But anyway, suffice to say that due process has taken course, and that's how it is. It's how it is, people. What I want to do tonight, though, once I've shown some footage, I want to kind of spark a conversation. I'm going to put out the link. Even if you don't normally jump on, you fancy a say, come in. Let's try and create a panel. Let's try and do that and have a little discussion tonight about the state of affairs. Do you recognize this real? Do you know how much British Pitney there, Jamaica and UK government don't give a damn? Exactly. Really? And they could if they wanted to. It's not like Saudi Arabia where the people, them Muslim man just take the Pitney and disappear forever. Jamaica, they could do things if they wanted, if that child was really at risk. They don't care. Why would they? They really don't care. Try take an English white Pitney though and bring them to Jamaica, and if that child is at risk. And what you have to understand is this: unless the child is at risk, why would they care? They don't care. If you want to take your child and go and live in a mud hut in an African village in poverty, that's your prerogative. It's up to you what you're going to do once you leave British soil. Do you understand? These people are stupid. They really, really are. And also a place like Nannyville now, you understand? Nannyville is like any garrison in Jamaica, really. But it is, you know, it's one of the more dangerous ones. But it's like any dangerous garrison. It has its time of peace. It has its time of war. And anytime I touch down in Jamaica and I call my links in Nannyville and I tell them, yeah, I'm coming. I'm here. I'm there. I'm coming. They will say to me sometimes, very rarely these days, to be fair, back in the day, a lot, actually. But, you know, Jamaica's changed in many, many ways. But they will say to me, no, don't come on Nannyville. I'll meet you out a road. Don't come. Because war there in Nannyville. Nannyville is at war with Seaview or Mountain View or whatever they're doing. And one thing you have to know about Jamaican garrisons, it kind of governs a certain way. So it's only them involved. You have to know how to move. It's only them involved. I've been there back in the 90s in Nannyville when gunshotters lick. And I've had to go into one of the yards with my brethren and just lock off. But nobody ain't going to come in the yard on you because you're not involved. If you get catch in the lane, though, you could catch a stray bullet, right? So anything that moves is going to get it. That's how it works. And I've been in those situations in Jamaica when I would fast up myself and leave my parents good beautiful house in Mandeville to go and see my people in the most dangerous parts of Kingston because I just had no fear. And also, I found those people to be a lot more real than my mother and father's spooky people in Mandeville. I didn't really like those Jamaicans. I found those people to be a lot more genuine, a lot more kosher for me as a young girl at the time. You know, I was in my very early 20s. So yeah, that's how I got those connections. And to be honest with you, through music, because I've always done that, been attracted to that. So I would go with one of my cousins to studio, and I met those Nannyville guys in studio because they actually used to run with a guy that I knew as O'Neill that used to ride a bike down in Coronation Market, and they used to write for him. And, you know, he had a little sound. And then he joined Monster Shot Crew and he kind of blew up from there, stood out. He's got a lisp. And then he went solo and he became Elephant Man. One day I'll tell you a little story about how I had to cuss him off in Kingston one time because he got too big for his boots and tried to diss one of my Nannyville brethren, and I weren't having it. But yeah, see, a lot of people come up in Jamaica that way. Jamaica ain't, we don't fear Jamaica. There's no mystique. Yeah, it's not what you think, honestly. And as long as you are good with the people are good with you. Anyone who knows Jamaica knows that. But if you violate, then that's another argument altogether. If you find yourself straying like an idiot, you know, some of them tourists just think they can handle it and they just get, you know, go around wandering around. If you go gazing like you don't know what's going on, you might get touched. But that happens in London, doesn't it? That happens in London. So anyway, how about taking my child to a dangerous part of Jamaica? As if anybody would leave England and choose to go and live in Nannyville. Have you seen how Brucktown it is in there? Who's going to leave and go and live there? You understand? Those people are fighting to get out, honestly. But anyway, all's well that ends well. And we knew it was going to end like that. It's so pathetic. It really, really is. It really is, guys. But listen, let's get into some clips. I'm going to share some of that Brigitte Macron stuff because I want to talk about that, and then I'm going to move into the African side of it. What manner of madness? If anyone has watched the series, how compelling is it? How compelling is that series? For those of you that said you've watched it, put up a 1 if you believe, or a 2 if you think it's just too far out, or if you do, it's true. There you go. The way that Candice Owens presents that series, she should get an award for that. The level, and it's really not even her research, like she says. It is a French journalist, and I forget his name at the moment, but he came on in the last episode. Forgotten his name. Who they haven't bothered to sue because he's the guy who wrote the original book. But the Macrons have sued 2 female French journalists who kind of followed the trail in the story. And apparently they were just trying to do, they didn't even know about the book at first with the other guy. They were just trying to do like a nice little piece about the First Lady and how lovely she is. And then they couldn't find any information on her, and it was strange. And then they ended up falling down this rabbit hole. You understand? They ended up falling down this rabbit hole, and it just went on. And you have to follow the series. There's no way that I can explain it in just a few snippets. You have to follow the series from episode 1 right through to episode 6. So the response of a head of state, imagine, in France, is to sue a US journalist. That's unprecedented. Heads of state don't sue members of the public over defamation. Unbelievable. Watch it, people. I urge you to watch it. But I'm going to share a couple of clips. She and others, as I said, the journalists, they are saying that Brigitte Macron, the First Lady of France, the wife of Emmanuel Macron, is previously a man. So she's transsexual. She's a trans woman, but they've been hiding it. And there's also some mad intrigue around the fact that all of their friends and their aides and people that work with them have all been accused of paedophilia. It's kind of crazy. Even in Macron's presidential picture, when he first got into being the president of France, he takes an official picture, right? And they've zoomed in to realize that he's got this book, a book from years and years ago, that's written by a self-professed pederast. A pederast is a paedophile who likes only boys, and he's self-professed, and he talks about his exploits abusing little boys in in Algeria back in the day. Graphic details of it, and it's an old time book. You know, stuff that we couldn't get anymore. It's an original first edition, but it's there in the background on the man's thing. Some crazy stuff. To me, albeit that we know all of this stuff, it is the most credible and the most evidenced that I've seen. You have to watch it. The name of the series is, well, it's Candice Owens. It's her podcast. You'll know Candice Owens, surely. Wax Black, and it's called Becoming Brigitte. It's that series. So if you put in on YouTube, Candice Owens Becoming Brigitte series, or Becoming Brigitte episode 1, from episode 1 it just keeps running into the next one until you watch all of it. It's about 6 hours long. It is worth a watch, trust me. You'll be glued, because it's not just what she's saying, it's the level of detail and evidence and receipts, and yo, she should get an award for it, but you know they're going to suppress it. They already have. The mainstream media in America has already started gaslighting her, including the New York Times. But she's going to win that case. She has to, unless they tamper with evidence and really stitch her up. But I don't think the public are going to stand for that. She's kind of ready for it, really. And let's not forget, she may be married to that brother, but the white brother, but she's married to an aristocrat. She's married to blue blood. That's what it is. She was married to him around the time when Meghan married Harry, and apparently they're friends. But and to me, he looks a lot better than Harry, so she made a better choice. But you know, they seem really genuine, and he's also got a lot of might. His dad is Lord so and so from the House of Lords and landowning gentry from the UK. That's who she's married to. So I don't think the girl is stupid, you know, in any way. Miss Candice. No. She's got a little backative still. She has. And I feel like she's got a little backative from Donald Trump, albeit that she's kind of falling out with him at the moment. But yeah, it's compelling. So let's look at a couple of clips where she's kind of uncovering the fact that Brigitte Macron and her team are always lying about who they are and they can't prove it. Just come up with a birth certificate. Just come up with some pictures of you when you were a kid. But she looks like she might have swapped place with her sister. But anyway, let's just have a little bit of a look at it.
Emmanuel Macron, just to be very clear, I will state this again and again, was just 14 years old when he appeared in a school play at his school called La Providence. Brigitte, at that time, was a teacher at the same school who ran a theater workshop. Okay. She was, in fact, 39 years old at this time and allegedly married with 3 children. One of her children, Lawrence, was the same age and therefore in school with Emmanuel Macron. Okay. So the story goes that she saw him perform in a play and she was just swept away, eventually unwilling to resist her feelings for the much younger prince. So much so that she eventually divorced her husband. She broke up her family because of this. Of course, this is objectively a very creepy story. So how on earth did they sell it to the French public? That's where we need to begin here. The answer, of course, as always, is through a very intense propaganda campaign that is filled with lies and severe intentional misrepresentations. As Xavier Poussard, that is the journalist that broke this incredible story, puts in his forthcoming book, he wrote this, quote, "To sell this improbable story, intense propaganda was deployed across all media, television, radio, and the internet. Books praising Brigitte and Emmanuel and Glossy magazine covers saturated the public space. The aim was to subliminally instill in the minds a storytelling designed by the cream of the Parisian specialists of public image. This pulpy narrative told the story of Emmanuel Macron, a precocious and virtuoso student at Lycée La Providence in Amiens. The press compared him to Mozart, who won over his teacher Brigitte, a dynamic, beautiful, and charismatic woman, end quote. So yeah, they sold this as a story of triumph over conformity, right? This age-defying love, perhaps, as we now know, an early nod to the written works of Macron's favorite author, Andre Gide, who, as we mentioned in a previous episode, was a self-admitted pederast, raped Muslim boys, and he wrote about this openly. And despite this, he would wind up, or at least his book would wind up, in Emmanuel Macron's first presidential portrait. Incredibly creepy. On the 14th of April, 2016,
So you get the background there from what I was saying. So Miss Carol says she's a grifter, honestly. But free speech is dying. To speak out about these things now, you're going to be called transphobic, which is what they're trying to say to the sister, that she's transphobic. They won't answer the questions though. And let's look at a little bit. I'm going to show another clip of this, and then we're going to move into the Africa subject, because this is more important for me. These people are crazy anyway, these world leaders and whatever. We already know that these people are mad. You know, in the 90s, we used to listen to David Icke, and he would tell us that they were shape-shifting aliens. That's who they were. And I still believe some of them probably are. Do you understand me? I do. Call it what you want. I'm a fully paid up tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, and have been for nearly 40 years. And we've seen so many things come to pass, especially COVID. Oh, we used to warn them about that. This is why I had my escape plan when it happened. I went straight out the country because that's what was needed. And we'd been planning that for years because we knew this was coming at some point in history, you know? They say Michelle Obama's a man, but I feel like there's less evidence to support it. And it isn't the fact, look, we live in a world where these things are happening very openly. It's the fact that they're hiding it. And for me, the bigger part of the picture is, why are you on this paedophile thing? We all know that France has a very murky past when it comes on to sexual deviance. We know that already. But it seems like it is the epicenter of paedophilic activity. That's what it seems like. And this Candice series just kind of opens that up. You know, she's not revealing anything in terms of her being a man prior to becoming the first lady. And you know, she's not revealing anything that isn't already out there, because a man's written a book about it. But I think what she unhatches even more is the paedophile circle and what is really going on behind the scenes. You know, it's awful. It's awful. It's awful. And it's not that you don't know these things are happening, but I feel like we should all still be shocked when we hear of this, and the fact that they're just hiding it in plain sight. Huh? Obviously, this is something that, if it comes out, will just bring France to its knees like the French Revolution. It should, you know, or maybe they'll just claim it, because actually you're in a climate where you can claim it. Let's just come out and say, do you know what? I didn't want to tell you before, but yeah, I'm trans. And I think some trans people are supporting Candice, because her hiding it, Brigitte Macron hiding it in the way that she has, in very kind of dubious and underhanded ways, is a kick in the teeth for the trans community, because you're ashamed. Why are you hiding it? Out and proud like the rest of us, right? So it's kind of double firing on them right now. It really is. Oh, the Belgians are just gross. They are really something. Let me just share this other one. I'm going to try and share it from this machine, because that other one is knackered and it really needs sorting out. It actually does. Really needs sorting out. But yeah, let's just hang out tonight, man. Let's just hang out tonight. 1 second, guys. Oh, don't know what. Just work with it. I can't be asked. I had it all lined up on the other machine. I can't be asked. It's too long for me. I need an assistant like the big guys have. That's what I really need. All right, let me share this one. Sorry, guys, this machine is mad slow tonight. Here we go.
Picks the
All right, let's see how quick I can get it up on this other one because it's actually not working on here. It's taking way too long. Way too long. Let's see how quick I can get it up. Right. Yeah, let's see this now. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Right, here we go.
of this. The way that they sue people, the way that they go after people in court is they ignore the substance of the claims. Substance being, was current First Lady Brigitte Macron born a biological male? It's a simple yes or no question. And instead of attacking that, they wait for people to make a mistake as they try to garner the answer. And of course, mistakes will be made. Of course, you could say this photo is recolorized and they go, boop, go after her. Go after her. If she suspects saying that Brigitte Trogneau died as a child, go after her. So this is the legal letter. We'll show you that. They wrote, your discrediting of these photos is not only without merit, but also internally inconsistent. In your episodes on March 11th and March 13th and June 17th, you claimed that the first communion photo is an altered image of Tifone Ozier. However, in your August 30 podcast, you agreed with Poussard that the photo depicts the real Brigitte Trogneau before she passed away at a young age, another falsehood. Now, I want to be very clear. Xavier Poussard has never said that Brigitte Trogneau passed away at a young age, but I may have asked him the question and was speculating about whether or not she passed away, which they claim is another falsehood. And then they say both hypotheses could not be further from the truth. Moreover, you alleged photo had been debunked repeatedly and that the press now states its attribution to Mrs. Macron was a mistake, but you have not cited any outlets or articles retracting the photo. Surely you would provide this devastating proof if you had it, but you do not. Okay, doing a little dance there. Why do they not just simply state who the person in the communion photo is? Why not just say plainly, if you're going to write a legal letter, Candace, the person in this communion photo is not Tifone Ozier, and the photo is not recolorized, and it is, in fact, First Lady Brigitte Macron. They don't do that. They never do that. Why not also simply state what the truth is rather than saying that the hypotheses are far from the truth? So of course, now we're like a year on, I'm now armed with a much fuller picture of what happened, what the truth might really be. And so my legal team, as you remember, included a very straightforward yes or no question back to them, back to the couple in good faith regarding the girl in the communion photo.
Imagine being able to build anything, for any reason, in any style, at any scale, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform.
We wrote this, number 4. Is the little girl pictured in the communion photograph, allegedly from 1963, the Brigitte Macron that is currently married to President Macron? You guys know what happens next. No response. No response. They're angry. You said it was recolorized. You said Brigitte Trogneau had died when she was a child. That's defamation. That's defamation. But we can't tell you what the truth is. They knew by then, in terms of how specific my questions were getting, they knew that I was on to them, that I had worked through the investigation, that I had arrived at more correct conclusions, that I was doing less musing, okay? Not for a single second did we believe that they were going to answer our questions, and they have not yet. They just send us more letters and more ridiculous things where they don't assert what the truth actually is. Now, regarding the second photo of Brigitte's alleged childhood, which the documentary presented, let's take a look at it so you can understand what was so explosive about it. This full family Trogneau photo of them in Amiens, okay? Observations, again, were immediately made by the public. People are allowed to think. They are allowed to have thoughts. They are allowed to ask questions, okay? First and foremost, people thought they were being told that Brigitte is this little girl in the lap of her mother sitting here in the front. But the public, just quickly taking a glance here, thought, wait a second, Brigitte looks more like that little boy on the far left. And wait a second, who is that little boy on the far left? He's completely unaccounted for. Thus far, okay, leading up to this moment, despite so much press surrounding Brigitte, her life, her married life, her being a teacher, despite entire genealogical websites that were dedicated to her family, there was no mention on these genealogical websites or in the press of the boy on the far left, okay? So that became the dog that wasn't barking, okay? For clarity, there had been only one brother that was publicly accounted for. Brigitte's older brother, we'll show you a picture again. He is the one standing in the back. That is Jean-Claude. And the interested public were now being introduced suddenly to a second mysterious brother, and they would find out that his name was Jean-Michel Trogneau. We're going to take a brief pause here before I bring in Emmanuel Macron's strange story. First, just to throw it to one of our amazing sponsors, Preborn, because if you want to hear some great news, the abortion pill reversal treatment, which provides women with a second opportunity to choose, is bringing babies back to life. When you join forces with Preborn Ministries, you empower women to reverse the curse by presenting it to the world so that they could see that something weird has been going on in France for quite some time. And rather than the public, or rather the mainstream media, being interested in it, they just keep smearing everybody as like far-right conspiracy theorists. Every journalist I've mentioned thus far is on the left. In fact, many of these people were excited about giving Brigitte a platform because they themselves are feminists. And finally they said, let me profile this woman. And then they realized something is very wrong here. Why am I being called in to the Elysee Palace? What have I done wrong? Why does this feel like a police interrogation? I'm just trying to ask some questions. But it's not just Brigitte. Now let's discuss Emmanuel Macron's biography because it's pretty interesting. This guy. So the story goes that he, like Brigitte, was born in Amiens. Amiens is the capital town or city within the department of Somme. Okay, so in France, they call these departments. I like to think of departments as states if you're from America. And so think of Amiens as the capital of the state of Somme. Amiens also has a ton of history dating back to the Middle Ages because it is the ancient capital of Picardy, which, just to be clear, that just means like northern France. I'm telling you that for a reason. Now,
so guys, listen, I hope I've motivated you to go and watch that series, and maybe we can come back here and discuss it pretty much. But she proves to me unequivocally that the First Lady of France was born a man, that the First Lady of France is also a paedophile, because Emmanuel Macron was 14 years old. Now, only in France could the age of consent be 15, maybe in Japan as well, and other places. But basically, she was his high school teacher, and he was 14. They tried to cover it up and say that he was 17, and then it shifted, and they said, all right, he was 16. But actually, and then they said he was 15 because that's the age of consent. The guy was 14 years old when he met the woman. That's why she's so old, because she was 39. His parents tried to move him away from her or him. If it was a man, which I believe it was, based on what the research that these people have done, then this was a paedophilic man who went into a high school dressed as a woman, probably hadn't transitioned yet, but was dressed as a woman, and sought to groom a young boy of 14 years old. And eventually, when the boy got to 17 or whatever, run off together and got married to him, and then became the first lady of France. And there's some footage, I don't know, put up a one if you guys have seen it, of Brigitte Macron boxing up the president as she gets off a plane. There's even questions, if you watch the series properly, could that guy, that teacher, the trans teacher, have actually been Macron's dad? You got to watch it, guys. Honestly, it is absolutely outrageous. It really, really is. And it just illustrates who is running the world, because that's just their story in France. And we know that if you uncover the royal family, the British establishment, the US establishment, the German establishment, you're going to find similar things. These are the people that are running the world, honestly. Make sure you watch it. Yeah, definitely. But let's move on. I'm going to look a little bit at Africa. Give me a moment. Yeah. I'm going to have a little look at Africa. It is, we always do this as black people. Oh, we don't, black people don't really do them kind of things. Yeah, and it ain't just in Africa. Jamaica's big with it, this child sacrifice thing. Why do you think that all those little children were going missing? Some say the Haitians brought it in. Yeah, they always need to blame someone else. These secret societies are all over the world, in Europe and beyond, But the real power lies with the European effort for this satanic agenda, because they have baby farms, huge baby farms in Bulgaria, hidden. Listen, it's huge. We're fighting sometimes a losing battle because we can't eradicate paedophilia. It is a part of the society that we live in. It is the new Sodom and Gomorrah. If you read your scripture, you will know that's what we're living in. The new Sodom and Gomorrah, and I know for one, I know personally, I should say, how it is that in Sodom and Gomorrah, these people can use the law of the land to try to silence the righteous. You understand me? To try to silence the righteous. Honestly. 1 second, guys. Everything I had queued up on the other machine has gone to pot. So give me a moment. Oh, wow. Now I've lost what I was looking for. Oh, man. One second, guys. Right. Yes. Let's have a look at that. All right, people. Let's have a little look at this. Interesting. Give me a moment.
So what happened is that Robert get attacked by a man who is not known to anyone in the community. And the man begins cutting Robert on the neck, like you can see. After cutting him on the neck, they start drawing blood. So the man was drawing Robert's blood in a bowl. So at the neighborhood, it happened that there was a man, a plumber, who was cutting trees. So he gets a challenge of his machine, which was not working well. So he decided to go to the neighborhood to pick a jerry can so that he changes the oil for the cutting machine. So the neighborhood happens to be Robert's homestead where they were staying. And then what happened is that as soon as he went to the neighborhood where Robert was staying to get a jerry can, he finds a man, a perpetuator, drawing blood from Robert's neck after a deep cut. What is said is that when a man sees a man drawing blood from Robert, he makes an alarm. And then the whole community, people around, the neighbors, come to really rescue. But what happened to the perpetrator? He took off and he left Robert in a pool of blood which he was drawing from him. They had cut his main vessels and they had cut part of his spinal cord. That's why he became disabled, that he is no longer able to move on his own. And yet previously he was a boy who could run, who was in school because he was already in kindergarten. He could speak well, but after that he could not speak. His limbs can no longer move. You can see they are permanently disabled. So his jaws cannot move. His body movement is now limited. There are few movements of his body that can actually be made. After abducting him and taking him to the bush, they pierced him on the hand. When he fell down, so he began shouting. So they used the panga to cut his head because he was shouting. And then he couldn't scream anymore. So they started doing all the rituals on him. So they cut one of the tests from his private parts. After all that, so they left him thinking he was dead.
When I'm running and the man's slowing the panga, and the panga beats me here, and I fell down, and they cut me my part of head.
Show me.
Here, and they cut my neck here, and they cut off my parts of down.
They call him the miracle child. A machete was sliced through Alan's head and neck in an attempt to behead him. He was also castrated. Doctors are surprised Alan survived, but he will need a lifetime of emotional and physical therapy. The men Alan claims kidnapped him for sacrifice live in this village. They were arrested and released without charge. But members of this community have told us that they continue to take children and sacrifice them. Posing as businessmen, we asked around for a witch doctor who could bring success to our local construction project. We were introduced to this man, Awali. During the first meeting, Awali sacrificed a goat to bring luck to the business. A few days later, we were invited back to his shrine to discuss what he regards as the most powerful spell, child sacrifice.
There are two ways of doing this. We can bury the child alive on your construction site, or we cut the child and put their blood in a bottle of spiritual medicine. If it's a male, the whole head is cut off, and his genitals. We will dig a hole at your construction site and bury the feet and the hands, and put them all together in the hole.
Alan, do you recognize this man?
Awal.
And is he one of the men that took you, Alan?
Awal.
Yes?
Yeah.
It's too dangerous to confront Awali.
He knew exactly who did it. The two men appear to have been neighbours of Alan's. They were arrested, but later freed without charge. According to the father of Alan, their escape was the result of corruption. He is still deeply angry, but above all, he is simply concerned for his son. I no longer let Alan out with just anybody, and he isn't allowed out of the house. without letting me know where he's going. If he does go anywhere, someone goes along with him. He's never alone. I take him to school. I know he's safe.
So you guys get the drift of that. My goodness gracious me, I can't even watch it. Little boy, QT. My God, this has got to stop. And then the guys were let free. This is what's going on all over the world, and governments are complicit. You heard what the man said. They wanted success for a construction project. Throughout our black world, that type of thing is very, very prevalent in places of power. All the president them have them obia. Whether that be in the Caribbean, whether it be in Africa, all of them got their obia. Trust me. And the same in Europe. The same right here. Yeah, it's just more hidden, more sophisticated in how they cover it. You know? It's unbelievable. But listen, I'm going to put out the link real quick. Yeah, man. I'm going to put out the link. Jump on if you want to have a discussion. If not, I'm going to bid you guys farewell. And we've got a quick one tonight. How's that for improvisation? I had no idea what I was going to do before I got on. It was about 1:45 when I just said, blah, 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 blah. Something that's been on my mind. Let's just talk about it. How's that for impro? Most of what I do is impro on here, to be honest, guys. I don't have a script. I never really have much of a plan. You know, if someone's coming on, I know what we're going to talk about, and it's literally just organic. Why can't I post a link? What's going on? Oh, there it is. There we go. Jump on, guys. Let's have a discussion. Let's try and get a panel together. As I say, if not, me gone. I'm well and happy to finish early. Mr. In God It Trust says some people support Abia when you see these typo. Yeah, sure they do. I've had personal experience of that. I don't know if you watched last week's live. I don't know if you watched that, Mr. In God It Trust. In God It Trust. Yeah, Mr. In God It Trust. I don't know if you watched that live, but I've definitely had personal experience of people that are interested in Abia. Oh dear. I just thought, because I know June is definitely on here watching. Maybe she's going to try and kill a child and get real power. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? It's quite plausible, isn't it? I think she'll go to any length, actually. Right, let's see if anyone's going to jump on. Give you guys a couple more minutes. If not, I'm going to bid you guys farewell, and please listen out for next week, because next week we're going to have a very full story coming on. Indeed. Yes, we are. Annette, you got all them faces. Right. I don't know if anyone's going to jump on. Come on, guys, man. Forget all the comments. Come and have a conversation. Keep your camera off if you have to. No one's sharing anything about anyone. It's a conversation. Yeah. There they are. Elabe Summers. Yep. Sally's got it. There is a battle going on between the angels and demons on earth. Light and love must overcome all this evilness. It has to. This is what maybe the scripture describes as the 7 years of tribulation, although that is to come, and that's what they describe as the beginning of sorrows. So if it really is bad at the moment, but it is not as bad as it's going to get. Babylon. On the earth, let's have it right. The whole earth is going to be upturned with this madness. It is. So you just kind of got to pick where you want to spend the Gideon. That's my philosophy. Pick where you want to spend the Gideon. And I can tell you one thing, it ain't bloody here. You don't want to spend the Gideon here. Still open in Brixton, we might have to go down there and start to boycott that thing and put a picket line outside. What do you guys think? Put up a one if we should put a picket line outside that Obia shop. Because, I think if it's in Brixton, that's maybe where June Gordon gets her supply. Parchment paper and all that stuff. Yeah, that should shut down. Some wicked people use it. And quite a few of the pedos that we know are also into that. So to me, that's a connection. No, it's too accessible. Yes, let's do it. Let's do it, guys. Let's do it. Let's do it as soon as possible while the weather's good and everyone's still out buzzing, you know? Roro. Blessed love, Roro. Blessed
Hello?
love.
Hello?
Hey, Roro.
Hello, sister. You okay?
How you doing? Blessed love, sis.
Hi. Yeah. I don't know if you know about this situation because I really wanted to bring this up to you, but it's been circling around mostly actually on Instagram, a little bit on TikTok as well. People have been talking about it, but I thought I'd let you know about this. Basically, I think I sent it to you on Instagram if you haven't got the video, but it's on like Daily Mail and stuff. But basically, what happened, I think it was 2 days ago, there was a man, I believe he's a migrant, and he's black. And what he did was which is absolutely disgusting. This was on the district line.
Oh, I
So,
think I know what you're going to tell me. I saw it on my brethren's page today. Yeah, he looked like he
oh,
had mental health problems and he exposed himself.
yeah.
Yes, he exposed himself on the train. That's a good talking point. Thanks for that. Thanks for bringing that up.
Mhm.
Yeah. So for those people that don't know, there was a black man on a train. You're telling me it's a district line on a
Yeah, it
train.
happened at Upton Park Station.
Oh, right. So it was proper East End. I went to school in Upton Park. Proper East End was around. No wonder. But anyway, the guy basically is on the train screaming at everyone, and he's got his trousers right around his ankles, and he's fully exposed on the train. Clearly a madman. Clearly a madman. And I don't think he's a migrant. He sounded Jamaican to me, to
Yeah,
be honest.
people are saying that he was a migrant, but what was even worse that there was kids and there was families who are on board. So I don't know, but maybe the children made him, encouraged him to pull down his trousers or something. But it was just really just triggering. Like, do you understand? Because it's just like what, like
Well, I think a lot worse
in
happened.
broad daylight as well, in broad daylight.
You felt outraged by that. Do you think he got what he
Mm.
deserved?
Well, I don't know because it is considered as an assault, I believe. So I don't know what the police are going to do about this because this happens every day. It's just that this one is just getting, put on the media a lot more. But
Coverage. Exactly.
I do hope that justice does get served because I think he needs to be put into a mental health institution because ain't no way you're saying doing something like that. Ain't no way.
Well, I've seen a lot worse on the tube, believe you me, than a man
Mm.
just exposing himself. Yeah, it was shocking what he did, and there was women and children on the train. It's the fact that the geezer guys came wading in and treated it like it was a migrant situation. I think that's where
Mm.
everybody got a little bit irked. And for
Mhm.
me, he's mad. He's clearly mental health, and he
Yeah.
had a thick Jamaican accent because he was telling them to laugh in a big Jamaican accent. So he clearly weren't a
Mm.
migrant, but they just saw color. That's what I think. And
Mhm.
you could see the type that they were and the way that they were kicking him up and beating him up
Mhm.
on the train. Do you understand me? The guy's
Mhm.
clearly unwell, and people that have got mental health issues run naked down the street all the time. They do this, it's something they do. He was clearly unwell. He wasn't just a flasher, going
Yeah.
about his business and trying to because he wouldn't do it in that way. He'd do it secretly on a
Mhm.
packed train. That's what he would try to do if he was that type of guy. But he was clearly
Mhm.
mad. That's my thing. He had mental health issues, so he should have just been covered up. He didn't lash out at anyone. He was shouting. That could have been more contained. I felt they just wanted to have a go because they really are on this thing the way they're trying to claim back their ground at the moment. And I think it was a
Yeah.
perfect opportunity for them to show their
Oh
colors.
yeah, definitely. I did notice how it was like, they was putting a lot of emphasis when they was attacking him, I would say.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
Mm.
they was getting in there. Get in there. That's what they were doing.
Like all they had to do was just restrain him and get him off the train, not batter it. I understand that obviously, like, because of the situation, obviously given but as you said, as you can tell, he is not mentally sane.
No, it's not.
So
It's really not. I don't know. Look, if he was in Africa or the Caribbean and he was doing that on a crowded bus, he'd probably get a beating whether he had mental health issues or not. Because we know the motive of those people for the most part, and they did seem, we are stereotyping a little bit, they did seem that type that would have been at those hotels burning it down. That's what I think people are kind of, that's what's kind of polarizing for the whole thing. But thanks for that, sis. Don't think
Thank you
anyone's
so
going
much.
to jump on tonight. Thank you, blessed love.
Take care, yeah. Bye-bye.
Bless her. Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw that, man. That was mad. That was actually mad. I was uncomfortable watching it. I felt sorry for the guy. They did beat him up before I don't know if they handcuffed him or tied up his hand behind his back with something and dash him off the train, left him on the platform. But yeah, they did kick him up and beat him up quite a lot. And I'm never comfortable with seeing geezers doing that to a black man, because you just don't know what the motive is, do you? So guys, no, the public beat him. That's Scarlett. The public beat him. Yeah, some geezers on a train in Upton Park of all places on the district line. I'm like, ooh, I bet it was headed up into Essex, that district line. Bet it was, because they just seemed that type that have been at the protests and things like that that's going on. Yeah, they roughed him up a bit. They did. They roughed him up a decent bit still, But in Alta Ada, but he's crazy. So he's not out of order, really, is he? He just ain't in his right mind. Because nobody in their right mind does that. Like I said, if that was some underhanded, slimy little pedo, they wouldn't be just in the middle of the train, trousers dropped, screaming at everyone. They just don't do that. So I'm just thinking, was there no one on that train that recognized, come on, he's not well? Just allow him, you know what I mean? And try and get somebody on the train to get him off. Or you're strong enough, rips him up and put him outside. That's all they needed to do. They didn't need to attack him like that, They got him off at East Ham, was it? Yeah, wow. It's all my old ends, man. Beijing Soldier says, I watched a video of a white male spiking a young African Caribbean drink at a festival. Watch out, ladies, and mind your drinks. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. We would have heard a little bit about that tonight. But anyhow, guys, let's wrap it up until next week. Enjoy your weekend. It's going to be a hot one. Apparently next week as well. So that's a treat. Because believe you me, after Carnival and whatever, it done. So we'll be back in our coats and whatever in no time. Yeah, that's right, Elabe Subbers. All they see is a black man. They don't care. Or an Asian man. They don't really care. Guys, blessed love to all of you. Be blessed in whatever you do in your going in and your coming out. And I shall see you guys next week, okay? Blessed love. Blessed love.